الحمد لله الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيد المرسلين أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. My dear sweet Islamic brothers and viewers of social media, let's recite Durud and Salam. As-salatu was-salamu alayka ya Rasulullah وعلى آلك وأصحابك يا حبيب الله. الصلاة والسلام عليك يا نبي الله وعلى آلك وأصحابك يا نور الله. Excellence of reciting salutations upon the beloved and blessed Prophet sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa alihi wasallam. The noble Rasul sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa alihi wasallam has stated, whoever recites 10 salat upon me, Allah Azza wa Jal sends 100 mercies upon him. Sallu ala al-Habib sallallahu ta'ala ala Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. In the book To Call to Righteousness on page 408, it mentions, just before I mention anything from this booklet, that in our society we see a lot of sins. And Nigrane Shura Haji Imran Attari Salamul Bari mentions that if there's a fire in that city, in that locality, then we should try to extinguish the fire. And if we don't, then that fire will spread. It will burn us, and the effects of the smoke will also affect us as well. And this is why when our society is full of sins, it is important that we rectify Muslims and call them towards Islam. Here is some advice. Sayyidina Numan bin Bashir rahmatullahi ta'ala alayhi has narrated that the revered and renowned Rasul sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa alihi wasallam has stated, the example of those who show laziness in the commands of Allah Azza wa Jal and who get involved in them is like those people who held a drawer in the ship. Some of them got a place in the lower part and some in the upper part. Those staying in the lower part had to go to the upper part to get some water. Considering it bother, they took a saw and one of them began to make a hole in the lower part of the ship. Those staying in the upper part came to him and asked, "What's the matter with you?" He said, "You are inconvenienced by me and we cannot do without water." If they grabbed hold of his hand, they will save him and also remain safe. And if they abandon him, they will make him meet his doom and will also meet their doom as well. Regarding the above mentioned hadith, it is stated in the book Miratul Minajih. This hadith highlighted the importance of preventing evil and promoting good with the help of an example. It was made clear that ignoring the obligation, amrun bil ma'ruf wa nahyun anil munkar, i.e., calling people towards righteousness and preventing them from evil, by assuming that the evildoer will himself suffer loss without causing us any loss, is a mistaken idea. The harmful effects of these sins engulf the entire society, as the one making a hole in the ship does not drown alone, but rather causes all those on board to drown. The evil of some evildoers spreads like a cancer in the entire society. Dear Islamic brothers and viewers of social media, one should also pay attention to reform of others rather than following the philosophy of reforming only oneself, because there are many sins that harm others. For example, if someone commits the sin of theft, this will also cause loss to the victim. Similarly, robbery, misappropriation, swearing, laying a false blame on anyone, backbiting, telling tales, finding faults with anyone, defrauding anyone of money, shedding blood, causing pain to anyone without a Shari permission, not paying debt on time, using someone's belongings without his permission, despite him minding it, upsetting parents, and misusing of the eyes, etc. All affects victims. If anyone is allowed to commit sins openly, then no one's wealth and honor will remain safe. In other words, our society will turn into a jungle of fierce beasts. Some sins damage the respect of others. For example, if anyone is notorious tale-teller or fornicator, adulterer or drinker, then everyone can realize how inferior status he has in society. Some sins cause loss to the wealth of a person. For example, gambling addiction, borrowing money with interest, wasting time in watching movies and dramas instead of doing some job or business. Every wise person can realize how these people indulging in the above misdeeds suffer great financial loss. In addition to all of these earthly losses, such a person also faces afterlife losses which may befall him in the form of a horrific punishment of hell. وَالْعِيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ تَعَالَى. May Allah Azza wa Jal save us from committing sins and give us ability to rectify others and bring them closer to the masjid by following the 12 Madani Qam of Dawat Islami. One of is going to the shops on the streets and delivering a small dars. Like in the morning of the Madani Halqa, there was a parable that there was an individual who was giving a dars, but no one would surround him to listen to the dars. But he stood there for the sake of Allah Almighty, delivering that dars. Now, like in Pakistan, we see we can go onto the roofs of the houses, and the owner of that house went on top and he sees this individual giving a dars. Who's he giving it to? No one's there. So he decided to come down and go listen to the dars. And once he listened, a Madani reformation took over his heart, and he came to closer to the Madani environment of Dawat Islami. He ordered his face with a beard. He ordered his head with the Imamah Sharif, and he became a practical Muslim. And this is why, as Muslims, if we do our bit, then make dua and leave rest to Allah Azza wa Jal. Like we hear a parable, some of the scholars said there was a drainage of dirty water coming on a person who was intoxicated, who was actually lying there in the middle of the night, and a pious person was passing by and he seen this drainage of water falling on top of his face. What he did is he moved him to a side, he got some clean water and he washed his face. And then later on he realized that this individual came to the masjid. When he came into the masjid, he was astonished to see this individual, right? And then he heard a voice from the ghaib that said to him, "You washed his face, we cleansed his heart." Meaning we purified his heart and we guided him back to Islam. So my dear Islam brothers, don't be scared. Don't be afraid. We want paradise and we want to please Allah Azza wa Jal. And we should use our lips, our tongue to at least invite them towards Islam. May Allah Azza wa Jal give you the ability to engage in the mahal of Dawat Islami. Also continue watching Madani channel Sky 746. Try to fill in the Naik Amal booklet and also try to travel on the Madani Qafila for 3 days. May Allah Azza wa Jal reward you, bless you and grant you success in this world and the hereafter. Ameen. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. والصلاة والسلام على سيد المرسلين جزا الله عنا محمدا ما هو أهله بسم الله على ديني بسم الله على نفسي وولدي وأهلي ومالي يا مقلب القلوب ثبت قلبي على دينك ألا بذكر الله تطمئن القلوب. O Allah Azza wa Jal, accept this dars, forgive the mistakes of dars, and give us a true amal of what has been mentioned in this Madani Halqa today. Grant us success, bless our children, bless our families, bless Pakistan, remove the ghurbat in Pakistan. Ya Allah Azza wa Jal, bless the people of Morocco, the earthquake disaster that has taken place. Ya Allah, restore their affairs. Those who have become shuhada, grant them the highest level of paradise. Bless Turkey. Ya Allah Azza wa Jal, give them the ability to reinstate the buildings that collapsed during the earthquake. Floods in Libya have affected Libya. Ya Allah Azza wa Jal, protect the Muslims around the globe from calamities, disasters. Ya Allah Azza wa Jal, from poverty. Ya Allah Azza wa Jal, and bless them with your rahmah. Give us ability to come in the masjid and Ya Allah to seek, Ya Allah, from yourselves and not people, Ya Allah. Ya Allah Azza wa Jal, there's many people who are begging and asking for people for help. When in reality we should be turning to you, performing our salah and crying in your court for help. Ya Allah Azza wa Jal, we ask you, Ya Allah, for help. Help all the Muslims around the globe. Ya Allah Azza wa Jal, bless the Buzurgs, bless the Hazireen Majlis who have performed the Zohr Salah. Ya Allah Azza wa Jal, grant them success, and bless those who are sick, unwell, grant them all shifa, and bless my household as well. Sallallahu ta'ala ala Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Salatan wa salaman alayki ya Rasulullah. Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun. Wa salamun ala al-mursaleen. Walhamdulillahi rabbil alameen.